On today's episode of Wrong Side, we check back in with life outside of football, with me starting a new job, Meg's list coming in for interviews for matching for residency, and Michael moving into a mentorship role at work. College football with the Buckeyes storming into Happy Valley and getting away with a win, as well as taking a look at the SEC and Big 12 playoff picture. NFL with the Bears and Cowboys in full panic button. And overall, what is the problem with quarterbacks in the NFL this year? Clutch moment of the week, sponsored by Shore Metals and Outside the Line. In a world full of champions, we find ourselves on the wrong side.
Welcome back, Wrong Siders. Happy Wrong Side Wednesday. Today is November 6th, coming to you live with another episode. Huge week in the college landscape, bad week in the national landscape of football, but a lot of stuff to go over, a lot of sports, a lot of life. Great talk about QB development also in today's episode. That's going to be, I think, a very fascinating topic going on currently in the modern day NFL. Welcome back to everybody. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for coming back. Joey, day one. New job. How's it going? How was it?
Yes, sir. Baptism by fire is kind of the name of the next, I'd say, last month and month coming up. So we're recording this Monday night, the night of the 4th, watching Bucks Chiefs right now. And day one of the new job. So as we've reported previously, I started a new job at the same company, completely unrelated to what I did previously. It's more of a sales and marketing role. And I'm excited about it. The last 3 or 4 weeks I've known I've had the job. I've been trying to roll off of my other projects. The beauty and the curse of project management. There's always more projects. So always more things to close up. Got to make sure everything is all I's are dotted and T's are crossed before I either close them up or hand them off to whoever may be taking them moving forward. So been really working hard at that. That's been a pretty smooth transition, a few overhang kind of activities for this week and next week, but that was expected the entire time. So feeling good about what I've done previously, but still been wild. Day one, there's problems with the partner. The brand manager I work with is out of office. A lot of random stuff going on. Getting in meetings, saying hello, very much in the introductory stages. I was really hoping to push it a little harder. I was trying to tell my new manager over the last couple weeks, like, I'm a quick learner, just give it to me, I'll figure it out. And they've been kind of holding back on it. I know it's like kind of messy to try and like transfer between teams. You don't want to step on anybody's toes. Left it up to the managers, but we're here now trying to be agile and dangerous this week is what I'm trying to say. Trying to make an impact early, get involved, stay involved, more sports metaphors into the work life. So can't complain so far. Gonna have a lot less meetings than I did my previous job, which will be interesting to kind of see how I manage that time. Meetings kind of like drive my whole day. I'm in a lot of meetings usually. So it's like, okay, I can get one task done between my 11:30 and my 12:30 meeting. So going to be a really new way of doing things. Still have a lot to learn, but really looking forward. My new team is a lot younger. I'll be in the office twice a week with them. So hopefully a good opportunity to make some new friends. I don't think I've made a new friend since maybe I was 6, 7 years old. So it'll be interesting to do. But a lot to learn. Day one so far, trying to get involved, stay involved. I know you got a lot going on with work as well. How you doing?
Good. I will say for you, at least I would assume, I don't know, obviously, the whole landscape of the position, but the good thing is from a, like, the side, like, what's the word to use? Like, admin side of things, like, you probably still use Teams, you probably still use the same
Yep.
systems, like, don't have to learn a lot of, like, admin stuff. There's certain websites that you guys use. That's probably good that you have that knowledge. You don't have to train you in that. You're really just kind of learning the business of that sector
Yeah.
versus the entire thing. So that's good. Did you do when you go in? Is this the first time meeting everybody on the team, or are you going to, like? Do you know anybody on this team already?
Not really. I've met with a couple of them previously, met with my manager a couple times before, but the first time I'll be meeting her in person will be this Thursday. So
Okay,
most people I've met virtually maybe, but this will be kind of the first week I'm meeting most of them in person.
awesome. Yeah, no, it'll be a good time. Younger team, always good. Was just talking to somebody about it this week about how the team I'm currently on that I started on in May. It was nice because everybody, not to say I don't like work from home. It's nice to stay in
Yeah.
lounging clothes and a hoodie and a hat. That is nice, but it's nice to interact with someone and you don't feel as isolated by yourself. And there's
Oh
some
yeah.
sort of there's common ground, I would say. On my one team, the ages are like 23 to 30, which is really nice. But on another team, there's some older people, and you can't really, they have kids. I don't have kids yet. There's not too much common ground. You try to find that, but 23 and 30, a lot of pop culture references, a lot of sports references, like a lot of things that kind of mesh well. So I would say that's a pro for being on a young
Yeah.
team. For me, very busy at work. Seems to be at a point where we're just slammed. I feel like I'm working harder now. Been here over a year now, so I'm getting new tasks. This was about the time where I kind of rolled on to my clients last year, which is kind of interesting. I came in at this point. I feel like I don't know the world of the business, but in just a year, I've learned a lot.
Oh
We're
yeah.
starting to get new associates on our team, and I was in charge of like welcoming to the team, getting them set up. So kind of a different role. On my one main team, another associate that was my level has just left. He took a new job. Really good guy. Bummed he left because we got along well, but like he's moving on. So I'm the main associate now.
Yeah.
Good opportunity, I think, for me to like kind of like I'm not good enough to mentor. I'm not the smartest guy on the team, but more so in a sense of like teaching someone and being like, hey, this is how we do things. This is how it works. If you have questions, like I'm starting to be that first person they ask before they go to the next level.
Yeah.
So definitely a good opportunity. I had a call with one of them this morning. I prepped for like an hour for it to get them set up, got all the stuff set up. Had another call in the afternoon. Didn't feel like that one was as successful because I wasn't in charge of that intro, but still a cool opportunity. Gonna start working hard with them. Logging in a little earlier, logging off a little later, just trying to get my part, do stuff with teams kind of all spread out on different busy seasons. But outside of that, work's going well, things going well. Avoided the PwC layoffs that happened last week or last month, which is always
Oh,
huge.
that's
Yeah,
huge. Yeah.
thought they were coming in November, but I guess they happened in October and it was very like subtle. Like you didn't really hear much about them, but it happened a lot. So very good, I guess, for me. But other than that, work's going well. Nothing too crazy. Quarter finished up, wrapped up well. Had a great dinner with the team last week in San Diego.
Nice.
Fun time. Now we're just getting back on regular work, control testing, normal stuff, getting some private stuff done for my clients. Going well. Looks like it's going well.
Good stuff. Yeah, mentorship. I think that's something I've always wanted to get involved with. Obviously, with us being very young in our careers, it's hard to have anyone who knows less than we do. So getting that opportunity now is really cool. If anything, I've always felt that teaching someone else is always a really good way to learn. I know that's said by a lot of people. So hopefully that
Right.
also helps you in the long run, and also is another notch in your belt as far as stuff to show to your management. But that's super cool. I mean, I know as someone who's kind of just been through it, and like same with you, being new is difficult. So having a friendly face that, even though you may not know the technical answer to everything, you may not be the smartest person on the team, just a friendly face, someone who's nice to work with, is a huge help. So I know you'll be good in that role. I think it's a cool new side of things. Instead of just being told what to do all the time, you kind of have some people to kind of help you out, as well as like kind of bounce some stuff off of. So that's a really cool opportunity for you.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's nice, especially like you mentioned, like I started only a year ago with the firm and I was kind of worried, you don't know when to ask certain questions, you don't know who to ask certain questions. And those people that help you a lot, they come into fruition on each team.
Yeah.
And I know that when I started, I had some good people, some okay people like giving me those advice. And like you mentioned, I'm not the smartest accountant in the world. I'm not the most technical. I've only been on my main team for 5 months, but just in 5 months, I've learned a lot. I'm ready to help
Mhm.
out, like doing my part. I think the upper people on my team, the higher up people on my team, I've started to notice like, okay, he's kind of picking it up a little more and he's
Yeah.
figuring it out. So that's good. And now that they've given me that chance to like help out the new associate, work with them, like that's a good look. So maybe just try to move on from there. But other than that, good spot. Business is still going well. Busy season is seems like it's going to be here before we know it in January. So it's just trying to get the loose ends figured out the next 2 months. But other than that, going pretty well. Outside of work, life is going well. Meg got her interviews for OB last week. That was huge. Kind of got a different outlook.
Yeah.
She started her interviews last week. So that system is now up and rolling. The match system for the med schools is insanity to me, but she's doing well. She's doing great. She's going to do amazing through this process. She has 3 this week and 3 next week and
Wow.
goes all the way through December. And then she'll get to rank them out before she moves on to match day in March.
So how many interviews did she get?
I think the final total was 22
Sweet.
interviews.
For listeners that we have not fully explained this process for, I think this is really one of the most interesting situations that you can look at in terms of like being a 20 something trying to figure out where the rest of your life is headed, all that fun stuff. Michael, his girlfriend Meg, she's in med school at SLU. We've talked about her a number of times and it's really coming now. So for the whole match process, she got this list of 22 schools to interview with. She'll go through those interviews, she'll rank them, they'll rank her, and then really, from Michael's perspective, him and Meg worked together to form that list of places that she was going to apply for interviews because really the whole rest of their life is dependent on the med school process. So throughout these interviews and these rankings, she'll get an envelope at some point in March that tells her if and then where she's matching. 22 interviews is a fantastic number to start with. So big props to her. I know how hard she works. It's amazing. But Michael kind of taking a sidecar ride to this whole thing. Obviously, Meg has to consider the best programs for OB, where she wants to be, what city they want to be in. Is PWC? Did they have an office there? Where's Michael headed? So where you're moving, lucky like Maddie and I are both from Chicago. We knew we were going to stay here after school. We did the long distance thing, but Michael and Meg, I mean, geez, your whole life is going to be decided in one day, and then you're going to have to start getting to work. So it's a very interesting scenario that we're going to follow with him. I mean, it's very stressful for all parties involved. So props to you guys for being adults and working through that. Not a place that I envy to be in, but I know you guys are going to work hard and it's going to work out well. So another step down. March is getting here quick. So big props to you. Big props to Meg for 22 interviews. Go kick ass out there, and
Yeah.
we'll see where we're headed in March.
Yeah. Hit it on the nose, in my opinion. It's a long process. To think we kind of started, we did start talking right before she graduated, and we started dating when she was officially graduated. So I've learned a lot about a lot of different fields, and I know a good amount about business and the economy and life and sports, and I'm pretty well versed, I feel like, in that. But growing up, the medical field, the science field, was not one I ever took an interest to. I don't
Yeah.
have many doctors, physicians in my family. I don't really know much, and I've been kind of learning on the fly. And there are times where I have to ask the dumb questions. What does that mean? How does this work? I've learned as the 4 years have gone by. Now we're here. We've made it to interview season. To me, I feel like we're almost there. This is
Yep.
probably the last little peak she's got to get over, and it comes on down the rest of the way. But you're right. It's very tough moving. You don't know where you're going to find out that Friday in March. It's going to be scary. I tried to have a conversation with her. It was my own fault last week, trying to talk about like different plans. And she was like, I love these conversations. I'm glad you're positive. I'm glad you're thinking ahead. I'm glad you're having all these thoughts, but it's very hard to plan. When interviews are still going on, or B,
Yeah.
you really don't know. You can have a plan for Columbus or Irvine or Boston or Charlotte. It doesn't matter. You really don't even know what plan you're going to follow through with till that Friday. So very tough, very interesting. Will definitely be a conversation to have, a lot of conversations to have over the next couple months, but she's going to do great. Always does, always dominates in that field. It's her field. I know she's going to do great in it. I'm excited for the rest of the journey. And like you said, I'm in a sidecar. I'm rooting from the sidelines. I'm up in the skybox calling plays. Other than that, though, life's going well. Nebraska was fun, right? Went to Nebraska this weekend.
Yeah, Nebraska this weekend. Went out to see my sister Madeline. She is a senior. She's actually heading back home. She's moving home at the end of the semester to start her student teaching. So
Like
she's getting
Maddie.
ready. Yep, just like Maddie, my girlfriend did. So she's getting ready to say goodbye to all her friends. So she's sad. So kind of one last victory lap for us to get out there with her. Saw my second game in Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, Nebraska. What a shitter! As we're kind of transferring into college football, it was a great family weekend. Maddie came with us. Actually, it was my parents, me,
What a
Maddie,
shitter.
Madeline, my sister Madeline, and the rest of her friends. But UCLA came in against Nebraska. UCLA, I believe, was 2-6 heading into that game.
Horrible.
Dylan Raiola, Nebraska Cornhuskers, just coming off of a tough game in the shoe against the Buckeyes, and they were fucking horrible. Gave up 4 or 6 sacks, I think it was. Had like 2 yards total at the end of the first quarter. UCLA quarterback looked like he couldn't miss a pass. The run game, Nebraska stopped the run game pretty well. UCLA did not let them run the ball at all. I think Nebraska, they're a pretty solid Big Ten team. They play good run defense. They run the ball usually pretty well. UCLA was stacking the box to to stop that. But Raiola looked blind out there, man. Like there were open receivers that he missed. He was running around for his life, so give him some credit there. But it looked like he was trying to extend plays way too long and then would just get himself in trouble. No picks, and actually one of the coolest throws I've ever seen. Starts leaking out to the right, and there's somebody going up the right sideline. Just flicks his arm. Extremely Mahomey. And that was half their yards of offense. They had 177. He had 177 passing yards, and like 100 of those came off of 2 plays. Like it was horrible. 27
Anthony Richardson type day.
Very much so. 27-20 final score, but the game was much worse than that made it out to be. They came back and to try and make it close. But even the fans were like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" Raiola gets hurt at the end, and the way the game ends, their backup quarterback, he was in the game getting a pretty decent drive going. They were on the plus side of the field, and he throws it deep.
The backup threw the pick?
The backup threw the pick.
Oh,
who was the starter last year?
Got hurt.
Yeah, Raiola got hurt. He tried to come back in, collapsed again, but the backup, Harburg, because Raiola is a true freshman, he was their starter last year. Wasn't bad, wasn't great.
Interesting. I didn't know he threw the pick.
Yeah, he honestly looked better than I almost said Mahomes. He almost looked better than Raiola did for those last couple minutes, but he throws it deep up the right side, coming towards us, which is pretty cool. You're looking, you're like, okay, bobbled, dropped. Nebraska receiver kicks it up with his foot. It just bounces off his foot, picked off to seal the game for UCLA. It was ugly.
Wow.
Fans were booing, and Nebraska nice. They're usually extremely positive no matter what happens to their bad football team, but you couldn't help but laugh. So it was a good weekend, good family weekend, but a lot of other good college football games on, and I was in Memorial Stadium. It was cold, it was rainy, and we were all like, Jesus Christ, man.
The worst part about that, I think, is, in my opinion, when the 4 teams came over from the Pac, I thought UCLA was far and away the worst one.
Oh, yeah.
I thought USC was kind of building something. Obviously, Oregon and Washington were battling last year at the top of the pack, so you knew they were going to be okay. Washington's okay. Obviously, we know Oregon's been great, but UCLA was miserable, and I was like, oh, man, they're going to get bad. They're going to be horrible. And the season started off poorly for UCLA at the Big Ten Media Day. I don't know if you remember that interview with their head coach. He's like, I'm the head coach at UCLA. That's in Los Angeles, if you guys know where that is. And everyone was like, yeah, you're not from Sioux Falls, Dakota. Like, you're from Los Angeles, California, where wherever you are, and you're coming from a league that the Big Ten played every year in the Pac-12 before the playoff. So we're well aware of who UCLA is. So very embarrassing for Nebraska. Definitely a good week to say that the transitive property does not matter in college sports. So that's good. On the other side of transitive property, if we're talking about Nebraska, might as well start with the biggest game of the weekend. Number 3 versus number 4. Ryan Day comes into Happy Valley, takes down Penn State. The biggest win, I would say, out of the last few years from Ohio State. Fact I didn't see, really didn't feel. I felt like we had more at this point. Maybe they just didn't count like road games in the playoff, etc. But first road win against the top 5 team for Ohio State since 2006. Ohio State beat Texas in 2006. Didn't know that stat until they showed it after the game. Very weird game. I've been preaching on it for weeks that why don't we get the good weird play? We never get a weird play. It's always weird play. And of course, the game in the second quarter, the weird play goes against us again. We get a weird touchdown fumble that goes, of course, right over the pylon. Will Howard fumbles. I mean, couldn't have started worse before that, obviously. 10-0 with the pick 6. Definitely was nervous, but they come down. They show they got it. 10-7. Ohio State takes care of the game that way. But a weird play doesn't go our way. I think I go, how does this keep happening? Why do we keep ending up on these plays?
Wrong side.
But then, lo and behold, in the third quarter, the Clemson play comes back into fruition, and it comes our way. I still think that's the right call. That's been the call they've made after all these years. They've been consistent since that Clemson play. That's why I appreciate. The refs are bad, but they've been consistent on that one. Judkins looks like a fumble. It looks like another turnover at 14-10, but it's an incomplete pass. Ohio State goes down, gets another field goal. They keep the game going. Unsung hero, in my opinion, after a long couple weeks of disaster, Julian Fielding. Incredible game. 2 big field goals to get it to 2014. Ohio State covers the 3.5. Incredible win for Ohio State. The defense showed the heart. The defense was great. The makeshift O-line was incredible. Another unsung hero on that makeshift O-line is Travion and Judkins, not for their running, but for their blocking. Incredible blocks and big moments that I felt were very underlooked. We had one play that got called back because it was a hold, but the block was incredible on a Will Howard run. incredible game by the Buckeyes, a huge win, 2014. The fans are back in, obviously, because there's a big win. Everyone's settled down. The sky isn't falling. Ohio State, huge win, heading into the last quarter of the season. What were your thoughts?
I am usually the doom and gloom guy. And there's a little voice in my head, a little loser voice in my head, as well as others in the media saying, well, it's just Penn State. James Franklin is 1-10 all time, is 1-10 versus Ohio State while at Penn State. Can't seem to get it done. The best tweet of the weekend was Ryan Day is the Michael Jordan of James Franklin's. Can't win the big one, but he's better than James Franklin.
He beats him.
He beats him up real bad. So Penn State fans are in hell, but though it is only Penn State and we've owned them historically, it was everything we needed to see to right the ship. We had weird plays go against us early. Pick 6 on the first drive, early 10-0 start, but the defense showed up. We played complimentary football, a masterclass by Chipper the Ripper up there in the booth. Chip Kelly, masterclass. Some really
super
well
sus hug
plays.
after the game with Ryan Day.
Super sus hug.
Masterclass.
Ryan Day looked like he was going to kiss him on the mouth. He tried to jump in his arms and wrap his legs around him, but the mental fortitude that they showed this week between all the media, the O-line, the questionable O-line, defensive question marks as well, the ability to bounce back even after those weird plays happened against us was exactly what I needed to see to show that, to keep the conversation going, that this year is different. It would have been easy to quit. It would have been easy to fall apart. Another weird play that went our way was the Igbinosun interception in the end zone.
Sure.
They get in at that point. It's a completely different ball game. But the line was fantastic. The plays were great. The running game was good. Will Howard said it himself, possibly the worst game he has played with that fumble happening and a couple misses just in general. But we own them. Drew Aller is one of the biggest frauds in college football. I without his legs, this is an extremely different game. And I know I saw a crazy Penn State thread where they're like, well, if the refs called this and not that, like actually
yeah,
Penn
that
State
one was awesome.
That one was bad. But in all seriousness, like Ohio State had a couple more touchdowns on the board as well. Will Howard was in the end zone if it wasn't for that fumble. So the score being super weird considering what actually happened in the game. Will Howard made plays late. The line was fantastic. To be able to run the clock out for the final, I think it was 5 minutes and 440 from your own 1 yard line, not even to mention the goal line stand to not give up the tie ball game late in the fourth quarter that we had again. We had it against Nebraska the week before. We were talking before we started recording. Maybe the key to our defense is just giving them the ball inside the 5. Because you can't Denzel Burke can't get burned. You can't give up the big play when there's only 5 yards behind you. And we're pretty damn good at a lot of places on that defense. So to be able to run the ball out like we did with Judkins, with Travion, with Howard, it's why we got those guys. It's why we got another running back. And for the line to just impose their will like they did against a team that was supposed to be very, very good in the trenches was extremely impressive. The sus hug, stamp of approval on it. It was exactly what we needed.
Yeah.
Some tough games coming up. Honestly, kind of expect Indiana to be a top 10 team by the time that they come. It's at Ohio State, right?
Yep.
By the time they come into the shoe, Indiana will probably be a top 10 team. I'm betting money that is a night game. So Cignetti has those boys firing, but we saw that we have some heart and some edge too. So shout out Will Howard for giving all the props to the boys and everything. It was the most just feel good win that I've seen from the Buckeyes in a long time.
Yeah, definitely felt good to finally be on the right side of one of those. Rarely happens over the last 3 years, I feel like, with just so many close losses, so many, if they make that throw, if they make that kick, so many things can go into it. And 10-0 at a place like Happy Valley is not an easy feat. I understand we were only a few minutes into the game. I get that. But I think one thing to notice is that they went on a 7-minute drive, Penn State, to start the game, 7-8-minute drive, and they ended up with 3. So already kind of like, man, we wasted our script on 8 minutes. How did that happen? And the defense gives up 6 offensive points. Incredibly impressive in my opinion. They don't throw a touchdown. They don't run a touchdown. Defense stepped up, showed their heart. Caleb Downs was incredible, I thought, this week. That's why you let a guy like that. Mm-hmm. Chip was incredible. Jim Knowles showed that he has it. I hope they do that. It looked to see that we kind of as a fan base were calling for where's Caden McDonald, where's Caden Curry, where are these guys? They got in this week. They played a
Yep.
lot more. There was a lot more rotation at the line. That looked like it helped. It looked like everyone was more fresh. They got pressures. They got sacks. The first quarter, I was a little nervous. I felt like we were getting to that quarterback. We couldn't get to him. We were getting to that quarterback, couldn't get to him. Finally got to him later in the game. Got, I think, two sacks, couple tackle for losses as a team. Very good defensive performance. Really enjoyed the heart they showed.
Yeah.
From the offensive side of the ball, Will Howard, I still think Will Howard is playing very good football. I
Fantastic.
know he had the pick, and I know he has the weird fumble, but he's still playing great ball. He's leading this team down with heart. He knows how to use his legs. He pulled a lot better. I felt like this week he pulled a lot better. The 4th-and-1 conversion to Thurman was an incredible undervalued play. I don't think a lot of people are going to recognize it was 4th-and-1. Ohio State decides to go for it. They run with a play action pass. He step backs, an incredible juke.
Yeah.
Incredible juke of Singleton, not Singleton, I'm sorry, Abdul Carter, who is their best lineman, arguably, who's going to be a first-round pick, in my opinion. Jukes him out, gets away, throws it to him. Thurman bobbles it, catches it. Incredible play, especially because the play before, G. Scott gets hurt. He's not in there on 4th down, who's usually a reliable 4th down target. He's not there. Great play by a young tight end, Thurman. Obviously not a perfect game. It's nice now when you win a game like this. I did make the joke that after they won, it was a little brighter outside. Couple small things I would have liked to see. Felt like the offense, it's so weird. I feel like we still haven't played a perfect offensive game, a whole team. And Will Howard said it this week in his press conference. He said, when we finally get everything working, we're going to be really scary. We had a weird play to Cornell Tate. I thought Cornell could have gotten in on that play. I didn't think the ball was perfect, but definitely should have been caught and gotten a foot it down. It's not NFL, could have gotten 1 foot down. JJ, first young mistake, I would say, in his career as an Ohio State Buckeye on that stop and go route. It didn't look like he needed to do the stop and go. He had him beat. He kind of jogged up, hits him in one hand. Would have been 7 in my opinion. So that was one small mistake. But shout out to those guys. Shout out to the O-line. Brandon Inniss, a huge game stepping up in moments like that. The defense, huge game stepping up in moments like that. Iggy didn't get as many flags, played the game the right way. Denzel Burke, he showed up in coverage. I think I saw they had, I want to say the number is 31 yards to wide receivers. 31 yards to wide receivers is incredible. Awful play calling by James Franklin. I saw and I'll end it on this. The tweet I saw that was the best, I thought, we've reached the point in the season where fire Ryan Day has, of course they won. It's Penn State, and we're officially in the final quarter of the season.
Yeah, it is just Penn State. So I'm focused on Purdue, but I'm also more focused on Indiana, to be completely honest with you. Big noon kickoff being for Purdue, Ohio State is criminal. We got to get that figured out soon. That'll be one of our next campaign promises, is to fix the college football scheduling system. But Kurt Cignetti, the boys have an edge. They're very well coached. There was a tweet that I know we all saw today comparing this Indiana team to last year's Michigan team and yardage, points per game, points given up. It's similar. They're a clean
almost identical.
Almost identical, with Indiana having the edge in many of those categories. So don't want to be seeing ghosts in a couple weeks here. So get the boys ready. It's going to be a tough game. They're a clean football team. They play the game the right way. They're clean. They hit hard. They don't turn the ball over. They're just a fantastic football team. Hopefully all of our 5 stars up and down the field and all the money we've spent on this team, allegedly, are able to take care of business, especially in a home game. But it was a huge moment for Ryan Day and the Buckeyes this week.
I think, honestly, in my opinion, I think this is a good test for Indiana. I'm very interested. I still think Michigan, although they've been struggling, Michigan still has a good defense. Let's see how they play against a better defense. Let's see. Michigan kind of stayed in that fight a little for Oregon before they pulled away and kind of crushed them by 2 touchdowns. So hoping that's follows similar suit come November. But on the Indiana side of things, Indiana's a good team. Cignetti's good. The coach is good. They come in, they step on your throat. They don't really care. I don't really believe in the whole Ohio State beat Michigan State 38-7 and they beat them 47-10. I don't really believe in that. There comes a point where we had backups in. They kept all their starters in.
Right.
But I will say one thing to monitor, especially for Ohio State. I understand we play Purdue. I understand we play Northwestern until then. But that's 2 more weeks to get this makeshift O-line perfect. We're going to see some different stuff. I agree that Chip's probably not going to be doing as much in motion. He might not be doing as much flea flicker, play action, etc., that he usually can. But that's beside the point. Getting those guys to mesh for 2 more weeks, heading into Indiana, heading into Michigan, that will be huge for us. I think that is something. I understand the talent level on both those teams is not as high, but from a coaching perspective, scheme perspective, big opportunity to keep running, keep putting the ball on the ground, let Travion go, let Quinn go. I thought Quinshon, to be honest, I've been kind of on the pro Travion over Quinshon train. Not to say I'm more loyal to our guy. That's all
For
it is.
sure. Have to be.
I like Henderson. I'm a little more loyal to Henderson than Quinshon. I think Quinshon's a phenomenal, but bias being a Buckeye for 4 years.
Mhm.
But my opinion on it is, I thought Travion was the bruiser. He was going to get hard yards, and Quinshon's going to be speed. Get you that. Quinshon was hitting people like a mother effer this week. It was
Yeah.
incredible to watch. They were blocking well. Everything looked to be firing. I'm excited. I think the mojo might be back. We mentioned last week how the nerves and everything might be too much pressure on the Woody, what the vibes were around the Woody. I didn't feel any of that. It didn't look like they blinked. That's a game where usually they could blink. It's 10-0 and the game's over. And I'm
Yep.
very happy they didn't. Looking forward to the last quarter of the season. We have 4 games left. Let's go out 4-0. Let's get back to Indianapolis. Let's beat Oregon. Let's get to the playoff. Tomorrow is going to be a big day for the college football playoff. Very interested to see. Come to find out, we said it last week, but I think it's going to be top 1 to 12. It's not going to be how it would be designed right now. So very exciting to see that. But other than that, Ohio State, huge win, another top 5 win. Ryan Day's back. Buckeyes are back. Will Howard, that's our leader. That's our captain.
That's our
Very
guy.
excited to have that guy. Moving ahead around the rest of the league, couple other big games, I thought. Big 12 shakeup, Iowa State, Kansas State, big losses. Colorado is back in position to get into this Big 12 game. Big story to monitor. Been kind of under the radar, Colorado. They've played their game. They haven't been as flashy this year. I did see a funny-ass video today of Shador. It was Dion saying, hey, everybody, don't forget, tomorrow morning, 8:30 a.m., register for your classes. If you don't register, you're going to hear from our admins. You're going to hear about this. And Shador looks at the camera and says, what are we registering for? And he says, for classes next semester. He goes, I'm not going to be here next semester. I'm not registering. So very funny. Colorado looks good. Big game against Texas Tech this weekend. I think they're the favorite, but they're at Lubbock. Tough
Yep.
place to play. Very hard game. Should be very interesting, especially in the Big 12. We don't know much about them. I think BYU is a very team of destiny, Max Duggan, TCU team, but
Yeah.
they're playing well. They're doing well. Iowa State, bad loss. Kansas State, bad loss. Going to be very interesting to see how Colorado plays this weekend.
Yeah, Colorado 3.5-point favorites at Texas Tech, coming off of that huge win at Iowa State, who was looking like they were going to lead the Big 12. BYU -4 at Utah. Utah missing Cam Rising, not the team we thought they were going to be 3, 4, 5, 7 years ago when Cam Rising first started there. But Utah's still a tough place to play. They're still a well-coached team. So BYU, team of destiny for now, but don't let it get to your head. So the Big 12 is definitely shaking up there. Would love to see Colorado get to the playoff. They're ranked 21 right now. They've been quiet because they haven't been talking as much. They've been getting to some work. Would love to see them make a push for the Big 12 late in the year. Other than that, looking ahead this week, some massive implications in the SEC. 3 games to look out for. Florida at Texas, who is 21.5-point favorites. Georgia -2.5 at Ole Miss. Tons of implication there. And Bama -2.5 in Death Valley at LSU. So to dive further into those implications, people talk about the 12-team playoff. Nothing's going to matter. You can lose all you want. Every game matters even more. More games matter to more people. This is one of the best college football seasons in recent memory. The biggest game to watch out for, ranked versus ranked, Bama at LSU. So for Bama to get to that SEC championship game, they need a win this week or Texas A&M to lose. Texas and A&M play each other to end the year, but Bama needs them to not lose to each other. They need another team to get down to 2 losses. So Bama's got a 3% chance to win the SEC championship game, according to this one article that I read. Georgia, sitting in the driver's seat at the moment, 33.5% chance to win the SEC, 7-1 overall, 5-1 in conference with that loss to Alabama. Winning, you're in. Tough schedule coming up at Ole Miss this week, where they're only 2.5-point favorites. A tough game for Georgia against Florida last week. Didn't look great at home. What are the Bulldogs at this point? We don't know. And after playing Ole Miss this week, they host Tennessee, who's also making a push for the playoffs. So tons of implications. The season is heating up. We are in the final third of the year, the witching hour of the college football season. Ton of stuff coming up here, but I love all of it. So here we are.
Yeah, I think the SEC, they always get the hype of they're all good, they're not all bad, the best conference, this, whatever, man. I don't really know. I think they're all kind of good this year. I don't think anybody's great, but I think this is a huge year of parity in the college football. Oregon's 8-0, Miami's 8-0. Miami, in my opinion, I think is not a good defense. They're just throwing the ball like nobody's business. Cam Ward is scoring 40, 50 points a game. It's incredible in my opinion.
He's sweet.
But other than that, Oregon's 8-0. It could easily be Ohio State 8-0. And I don't think anybody is really perfect. Oregon's struggled in the beginning of the season against Idaho and Boise State. Ohio State obviously lost by 1 to Oregon and an awful game against Nebraska, but they show up against Penn State. And if you look at the SEC, Georgia's had their fair share of struggles.
Yeah.
Alabama's got 2 losses. Florida's been okay. Texas, they've had a bad loss to Georgia. We don't really know much about these teams, I still think. I think there's still a very open margin of who can win this season. It's going to be very impressive, in my opinion. I can't wait. A perfect year, I think, in my opinion, for a 12-team playoff.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Georgia, we'll get a lot of questions answered with them over the next couple weeks. Texas, I still think is really good, but I think they're a little bit shell shocked from that Georgia loss. So we'll see. Looking ahead the rest of the way, Buckeyes continue to control their own destiny in the driver's seat for the Big Ten. We want the Ducks back. We want to go duck hunting to end the year in Indianapolis. So vibes are looking good. There's college football. Are we ready to move? Ready to move in to the panic and the wrong side of the NFL?
Yeah, wrong side in the NFL continues. When the going gets hard, I guess the Cowboys get worse. The Cowboys could not have had a worse week. Lucky for them, they only lost by 6 again. So they're the best team in 1-score games this year. The opposite of the Vikings last year, where they went like 8, or 2 years ago when they went 8-1 in 1-score games. I think the Cowboys are like 0-4 this year in 1-score games. They can't get it done. Very embarrassing to say the least. Dak gets hurt, hamstring issue. The worst part about it, I was hoping he would start running more, and he did use his legs. He started doing well, and of course he pulls his hamstring, and Jerry's right at the end of the day, and of course it's like, oh, see, I told you guys he shouldn't have been running. Disaster. Mike McCarthy malpractice, keeping CeeDee Lamb in the game, down 14. He keeps getting that shoulder banged up. It's a sprained AC joint. Now he's week to week. The team's in disarray. It's going to be Cooper Rush for the next couple weeks. They're talking about Dak on the IR. Not really much to talk about, in my opinion, for the Cowboys. I think we've mentioned before the Cowboys were in this spot where they got to win. They're kind of stuck. Realistically, this is one of those years where they can kind of, in a sense, reset. If they have a bad end of this year, if they finish in that top 5, top 6 range, that could be a great spot for them. Maybe trade back, get more picks, keep helping yourself out in future years, find a way to keep getting better. I think that's very important, but I don't really know what they do. It sucks that Jerry's going to be like, oh, I think we can do this. They can't do it. The team isn't good. Just go out, play your game, I guess. It's not going to be our year. It's going to be the 21st straight year with a different NFC champion, no back-to-back champion in the last 21 years. The stat continues, which is incredible to me. But Cowboys will keep moving. Let's see. Maybe they get some weapons next year. Personally, I would love Ashton Jeanty. I think obviously that's the pick if you're in that 10 to 15 range. In my opinion, though, if you're in that 3 to 7 range, he's not the pick, in my opinion. The running back class is very deep. Go get someone else. Go get a different weapon on offense. Go get somebody on defense. You can get Henderson. You can get Gordon. You can get Judkins in the second round. Those guys will be there. Do that. Find ways to get better all around. Don't just commit to one guy. So I really hope they do that. Season's over, though. No playoffs. The good thing for me is at least I'm not as stressed. Yeah, I'll watch the games. Yeah, I want to still win, but it won't be as much stress watching Cooper Rush than it is with Dak. Season didn't turn out how I want to, but Cowboys look to be in a bad spot. Shifting to the Windy City, another unfortunate bad week for the Bears. What do you got?
I've been saying all year that with all of the youngness, the money, the schedule, that I would way rather be in the Bears position than the Cowboys. Now with the Cowboys looking to head for maybe a mini tank, maybe you call it a mini tank with Cooper Rush going in, they could set themselves up for the future when I didn't really see a way out for them. So I would much rather be a Cowboy than of the Chicago Bears right now. The Cowboys do host the Eagles in a divisional rivalry game this week. I am wearing my trusty Eagles hat. I am a closeted Eagles fan. And the reason I am wearing this hat today is not to troll Michael. It's because this is the point in the year where I start following the Eagles and not the Bears. Wake me up in 3 years. It's Groundhog Day again. I don't know what to do. Matt Eberflus is 0-18 on road games and Sundays. He's won primetime.
What
games.
A stat! I'm telling you, I did
London.
not know that stat. It's insane. It's actually insane.
That happened. Loss on the Hail Mary. Some controversial decisions. Tyreek Stevenson benched, rotated in, and then his backup gets hurt, so he has to play more in the game. false reporting coming out that Tyreek Stevenson pulled himself out of practice comes out Sunday morning. In reality, the story was he pulled himself out of stretching momentarily to compose himself after learning of the benching, comes back out onto the field. None of his teammates had any problems with the way he went about doing that. DJ Moore is diva times a million, openly criticizing the coaching staff, which is rightfully so. Even worse than the Hail Mary, the 53-yard touchdown run we gave up with time expiring at halftime was the only time that has ever happened in the history of football with that yardage and that time and whatever the fuck. Matt Eberflus continues to find historical ways to lose, losing multiple games with 90+% win percentage in the fourth quarter. And we're going to take a step back from Matt Eberflus. It's his fault. Yes, he is not qualified to be a head coach in the NFL, but I honestly feel bad for the guy because the people who hired him for the job he either duped them or we continue to have the dumbest fucking organization on the goddamn motherfucking planet. I would like to believe it is the latter. Years ago, I think it was, we'll start with John Fox. It's happened more than once in this league. John Fox, they fire Lovie Smith in 2011, maybe before that. John Fox having a bad time, not doing well. They draft Mitch Trubisky to try and save his job. 1 year later, John Fox is out. Mitch Trubisky has to go into year 2 in a new system with a new head coach, learning new things. You're setting your rookie quarterback back. Mitch Trubisky was the number 2 overall pick. 3 years later, Matt Nagy, after firing John Fox, Matt Nagy gets hired as the coach. 3 years later, not going well. Mitch Trubisky isn't the answer. He gets out of town. Matt Nagy gets a first-round quarterback, and Justin Fields is the 11 overall pick to try and save his job. 1 year later, Matt Nagy is fired. Justin Fields has to learn a new system in year 2, setting your rookie first-round quarterback back. 3 years later, things weren't going well. Fire Matt Nagy, Matt Eberflus. Things aren't going well. You draft number 1 overall pick, best prospect since Andrew Luck, generational talent, Caleb Williams, number 1 overall. Things aren't going well. It looks like it's going to be Matt Eberflus's final year in Chicago. It should have been Matt Eberflus's final game in Chicago, for all things considered, considering the historical ways he has been losing games in his time with the Bears. He has been hiding behind the tank with Justin Fields to get these weapons, to get the pick. Ryan Poles is able to pull a hoodwinked move, getting the Carolina Panthers. Whoever the fuck made that decision with the Carolina Panthers, given what else Ryan Poles has done with the Bears, is even worse than Ryan Poles. You're now questioning if you should keep your GM at this point. The Bears are a loser organization, and the reason I'm wearing this Eagles hat is because if we weren't going to this Packers game in a couple weeks, that not another second.
The season's over.
The season is over. It is Groundhog Day again. We're getting a new system and a new quarterback, leaving Caleb Williams in down 29-9 against like the 26th ranked defense in the league. You can't score a goddamn touchdown. It's criminal. You leave Caleb Williams in, he gets hurt on the final play. I don't know what else you can do. The McCaskies have never fired a coach midseason. George McCaskey, the chairman of the team, he inherited Lovie Smith as a coach and was a part of the regime that fired him. They haven't hit on anything since then. Lovie Smith had a winning record as a head coach. We haven't had anything fucking close to that since then. Team's abysmal. To have that going on in one of the largest, like the biggest markets, the historical franchise in the NFL is criminal. It's Reinsdorf-esque. It's horrible. Ownership in Chicago has been horrible all my life, and I don't want to pay another second to this team. I actually can't do it.
Outside of a couple weeks.
Outside of a couple weeks from now, it happened again. I don't know why we thought it wasn't going to happen again. Everyone kind of raised their eyebrows when we kept Eberflus in the offseason, but there's no one in the building that can take over in the interim. We're fucked. Divisional games haven't started yet. We're at 4-4. We're a 500 team, trending in the exact opposite direction. I don't want to hear a word about Caleb Williams. Even DJ Moore, like his antics are a problem. He's lost his whole career. He was in Carolina. He was on the tanking teams with Justin Fields, and now he's got a problem as soon as he signs this new deal. I agree he is not getting at all what he signed up for. He's not getting used right this year. It's bad. So like I respect his frustration, but you didn't expect to have problems with a rookie quarterback. I think if you want to salvage this relationship, because you did get DJ Moore at a pretty good deal because he signed early, he's going to want out next year if things don't change. I don't know. You've lost the locker room. I don't know how you can keep him for another second. As a 500 team that hasn't played a divisional game yet and is very much still in the mix of things, season's over. Wake me up in 3 years when we draft Dylan Raiola.
Yeah, I will say for the listeners, I did get a text on Sunday afternoon. I'm so excited we're drafting Dylan Raiola in 2028. It was very reminiscent of when I thought the Cowboys were going to get Arch Manning, which still might actually happen now at this point with another injury.
Yeah.
But I don't really know where to go with the Bears. I know we're going to get into it right now, right after this, about the QB development in the NFL because that's been a hot topic in sports. But for the Bears, I know that play was leaking around Twitter of DJ Moore going out of bounds, walking out of the field. I think JJ Watt did have a good analysis of it. If you didn't see that, JJ Watt basically
Yeah.
responded. I saw it on Big Cat's tweet. That's why I say that. But Big Cat tweeted, "What the hell happened here? This is disgusting. This is a disgrace. Get him off the field." But JJ Watt had a very sports player, NFL player analysis of it, something that maybe an average fan, even pro fans, I think like us, didn't notice. He said maybe DJ Moore noticed that he stepped out of bounds already and he removed himself from the play, so he didn't want to confuse Caleb. Don't throw me the ball. It would have been a flag either way, even if you complete it, which sucks to say because he is in a spot maybe to keep running around. But Caleb did scramble well. He got to the other side of the field.
Yep.
It's something to even look at that I know he was an incomplete pass, but incredible scramble. Caleb has been using his legs very well, in my opinion, behind that line. Obviously, passes could be a little better. Roma didn't have a bad game. He looks good. But kind of comes down, like you said, it's an organizational issue that kind of
Yep.
seems like it's running within the Cowboys and the Bears style of old owners, not really adjusting, not doing the right thing. It sucks because now we're not only is that you say the season's over, yeah, tech might be, or you don't know how the rest of the season will go on, but we're on this path that we're gonna have the same exact scenario. Caleb Williams is gonna have a second coach in a second year. It's the same exact situation as Justin Fields had, same exact situation as Trubisky had. It sucks. That's not how you succeed in the NFL. It's not a recipe for success. It's how you get hurt. It's how you hurt your franchise. There's no way. We've been saying it for months now. We've been saying it for years now. It was the opposite way of how things get done. They had
Yep.
Justin Fields, they hired Matt Eberflus, and then they hired Poles. It was the opposite order it should be. It should be the GM, then the coach, then the quarterback. Get it that way. And the last two times, it's been the opposite way. It's been the reverse order, and that's not how you build in the NFL. It's how the Chiefs succeed. It's how the Patriots succeed. It's how the Bills, the Lions, that's how they succeed. That's how it's done. So something to monitor, I think, for the Bears. I agree that there is worrisome coming with division games coming next week. You hope to pull one out against New England and then hope to get in some dogfights. Who knows this injury with Jordan Love? I think the Lions are unstoppable, but I don't think the
Yep.
Vikings are. I don't think the Vikings are as good as they once were. I think Sam Darnold has come back to earth a little bit, which is good. But outside of that, it's going to be a tough rest of the season for the Bears. They have a lot of games coming up, 6 divisional matchups left. Of 6 divisional games left, there's 9 games left. So 6 out of 9, 67% of games left against divisional opponents and arguably the
Against
best division in football this
the
year.
best division in football.
So going to be interesting to see. But I know we kind of hit on it really quickly, but I think the topic of all of this, as we said, is QB development. I'm going to let you lead this conversation, kind of give the listeners a background of why we're having this conversation, what the topic has been, and kind of go from there.
Yeah, so the Bears are the perfect way to outline this conversation. Every 3 years, it's a new quarterback. They're the scapegoat. It's never no one else takes fault. It's a new coach. It's a new quarterback. And at the end of the day, rookie quarterbacks, which the new theory of winning in the NFL is winning a Super Bowl with a quarterback on their rookie deal, so you don't have to pay him all this money. You need to put a rookie quarterback in a position to succeed. I've been saying the last couple weeks, Caleb Williams has had to play both against the opposing defense and his own coaching staff, and that's not a way to do things. We've had our rookie quarterback throw the ball over 40 times in 2 different games. That's practically unheard of. And there's a number of reasons I think this is a problem. There's a few clips that if you haven't watched, I'll do my best to splice into the video here. But a Tom Brady talking to Colin Cowherd earlier this season, Julian Edelman talking about being thrown into safe areas. That was like this week on his podcast. And then Joel Klatt, he was a college quarterback at Colorado, kind of explaining the rhythm, passing, and offense. So what teams are doing right now that is the bad thing, in my opinion, they're relying too much on athleticism and these aliens and just not the true position of quarterback. I think Mahomes is the perfect balance of the two. He's able to scramble. He's able to make plays with his legs. He's able to make the absurd alien throws, but he's a smart quarterback. The way they won the Super Bowl last year is dinking and dunking down the field. Tom Brady was a check down merchant because he always made the right play. One of the lines that he had on that Coward clip that I had just referenced was, as a quarterback, it's your responsibility to make sure that you're never snapping the ball into a bad play. I think a lot of the time, the way that quarterbacks aren't taught to read the defense at the college level. It's, hey, here we go, clap, turn to the sideline, coach calls a new play, you just run it how it is. It's criticism
A
of
lot of
JD.
5 stars usually play with better players than most teams.
You're not you don't have to use your mind to make the decision and get the ball out of your hand quickly. So when these talented quarterbacks who come from teams that are full of 5-star O-linemen, 5-star receivers, and you get in front of the Bears' shitty O-line, things don't work out well. I think there's a coaching problem. No one can coach up quarterbacks well because everyone is too reliant on these athletes. They're not taking the time to develop these guys. There's too much 7-on-7 in football. It's really easy to throw the ball when there's only 7 guys back. There's not O-linemen and a pass rush to think of. Just the whole development thing is a problem. To put that pressure on your quarterback to throw the ball 41 times in the NFL is absurd. The goal of your offense should be taking the pressure off of your quarterback. It is a team game at the end of the day, and successful teams do that by running the ball effectively and running play action. Detroit, Baltimore, Kansas City, San Francisco are all very high in both motion. I don't know about motion for Baltimore, but very high in motion and play action.
Baltimore makes up for it with run plays. They have a good run game.
Great run game, but Jared Goff, who isn't the most talented quarterback in the league, he's throwing perfect games. He's going 18 for 18 in games. Like, there's just this huge problem with not truly knowing how to play the position. And at the end of the day, the quarterback gets scapegoated, and then a year later, the coach gets scapegoated. And these loser organizations, you have the Bears quarterback, like the quarterback jersey. You have the Browns quarterback jersey. You have just millions of quarterbacks because these loser fucking organizations can't figure it out, and I don't know why.
Yeah, it's a massive issue. I saw a graphic last week of 26 and younger quarterback. 26 is not old, first of all, in the NFL. Very young. And the amount of 26 and under quarterbacks that have struggled, that have been benched, that are now either out of the league or in like a Zach Wilson type role where he's a backup and just moving on with another team. It's astounding to me. I think there's different levels of QB development that I think some people don't understand. I use Dak as a perfect example in these kind of situations. I know everyone has their own opinions on Dak, but when Dak came into the league, he was not a first-round pick. He was not a top 5 pick. He wasn't even a top 3 pick. He was a 4th-round pick out of Mississippi State, and he was picked to sit behind Tony Romo and maybe play in a year or two after Tony was done. And then Tony Romo gets hurt in the preseason. So Dak steps up in a preseason game. They like what they're seeing. Dak obviously goes 11. They go 13-3 his rookie year, and they lose on a walk-off field goal to the Packers in the divisional round. But what a lot of people don't understand that season is, they did have Dez Bryant. Yeah, they did have Jason Witten. Those weren't prime Dez Bryant. That wasn't prime Jason Witten. Yeah, he had Zeke. They were both rookies that season. Yep. But at that point in time, the Dallas Cowboys O-line was incredible. 4 All-Pros. They were dominating the line of scrimmage. They were protecting their quarterback. That's a situation where you have a quarterback, and they succeeded because he could hand the ball off. They could run. He wasn't asked to be a superhero. He wasn't asked to throw the ball 40 times. I don't remember Dak ever throwing the ball over 35 times in his rookie year. I really don't, because they would hand it off to Zeke. They would people in motion. They would throw it 20 yards. Jason Witten was a perfect check down, 5-7 yards every time. It was very.
Oh, one more thing on the Bears. There's been, I think, 70 pass attempts in the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Cole Kmet, 0.
Cole Kmet has 1 target in the last 70 pass attempts.
He's a long snapper now. Don't you know that? He's a long snapper.
I guess so.
But then you have other quarterback situations like Josh Allen, where they say immediately he's going to be a project. You have Patrick Mahomes, who sat his first year. You have Jordan Love, who sat for a couple years. And then you have Anthony Richardson, and Bryce Young, all different styles of quarterbacks.
Yeah.
My opinion on it is I think these teams take on that term of project, and they don't work on it as a project.
No.
Taking Anthony Richardson as the number 4 overall pick, and he was a legitimate project, and basically throwing him into the fire, benching him after 8 games, 8 NFL games he's done. You're going to go with Flacco? Not to say I don't like Flacco. I think it's fine. I don't think the Colts were a world-beating team to begin with.
No.
But every game, every snap, AR's on that bench. You're wasting reps. You're wasting opportunity. He's not getting better. It's a disaster. Bryce Young, same thing. Yeah, he struggled. They didn't get better. But Bryce Young, again, awful situation. They traded their pick for him. This year, they couldn't even get better in the first round. Versus Houston, they took CJ, I'll even say as a big CJ fan, he's regressed. It's a little sophomore slump, but the problem with CJ is not only has he lost Diggs and Collins and all those guys, the O-line is worse statistically than the Bears. He's
Yep.
been sacked more than Caleb Williams by 30-29. These teams take on these projects and don't work on the project. They're like, you know what? We have all these pieces. We're going to do this. Actually, we're ready to present. Let's go right now. There's no prep. There's no teamwork. There's no nothing. Let's throw them into the fire, put them in front of the teacher. Let's do this project right now. No prep. That's the issue. And I think it's so fascinating to me because Anthony Richardson is very similar to Josh Allen. Body style, play style, arm strength, speed, run game. I think they're very similar, not in their skill and their talent, but in the style of play.
Yeah, for sure.
Josh Allen was outplaying his skill at Wyoming. They weren't a good team. They're 2-3-star receivers. He's fighting for his life in that conference. He's doing whatever it is. And they took a chance. They had other people there. Josh Rosen was there, who was at a Power 5, UCLA. They could have taken him. But they go with Josh Allen, which was at the time was like, what the heck are we doing? Some kid from Wyoming? You think this kid's going to be the answer? Obviously, he's been great. But you saw him outplaying his game. Anthony Richardson didn't play at Wyoming. Anthony Richardson was a 4-star who played at Florida, who had top 15 overall recruiting classes the year he was recruited and 3 years after, and he wasn't great at Florida. He played 1 year at Florida, 51% completion rating. They lost 4 games. They drafted him number 4 overall, and now he struggled. And Indianapolis was like, how did this happen? He's throwing 52%. This is what you drafted. You drafted this. You didn't have a plan. You were like, yeah, we're going to draft this guy. We're going to have a coach, and we're going to just hope we do well. He gets hurt last year after 4 games. Gardner Minshew takes them basically almost to the playoffs to a win in in-game week 17. Then this year, 4 games, you're done with him. I know he hasn't been great, but what's the purpose of pulling him? It's so tough. To be honest with you, Bryce Young getting pulled, I know it's been a disaster in Carolina, and they're not good, obviously. But to see Bryce Young come out and win that game this week against New Orleans, I know New Orleans has really struggled since week 2, since they beat Dallas. They've lost 7 straight. But that's huge. That does so much to a guy's confidence. That does so much to a guy's mentality. I know Andy Dalton got hurt, and that's why he got another chance. But the whole league is built on opportunity. Tony Romo, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes. All these guys are built on Aaron Rodgers. Everything is built on opportunity. Unfortunately, injuries happen in this game, and if you're not ready, how about the Niners? Brock Purdy. Injury happened to Trey Lance. Brock Purdy comes in, boom, does his job. Trey Lance is a Cowboy now sitting as the emergency quarterback. The league is built on opportunities, and it's how you're mentally prepped. Bryce Young struggled. I'm super excited for Bryce Young. He got that win. Super excited for him. Obviously upset for him and how they were treating him and the disaster Carolina is. That's a huge win mentality.
You want to hear something crazy?
And it's all those quarterbacks. Caleb, they're set up to fail. And it's so unfortunate for all these young QBs.
So
I do want to hear something crazy though. Yes,
I was being pretty doom and gloom yesterday, as you could imagine, and I think this problem goes into further society. To be honest with you, in this day and age of instant gratification in social media and legal marijuana and all of these things that it just needs to happen now, it's bled into football. You need your 22-year-old quarterback to come out and throw the ball 40 times a game and be a stud.
Right.
You can't scheme anyone open. It's just like, here's the play that's called. These coaches that just refuse to adjust. It's at every level. Bad coaches, they have a system. Good coaches create a system around their personnel. Caleb, he does a lot of things really well. He's exactly what we've expected him to be so far. But again, he is fighting against inept coaching. They tried to switch Justin Fields' footwork. Anthony Richardson, he's got a cannon. They should realistically be running a college like air raid, like veer and shoot, like read option and chuck the ball deep offense with Anthony Richardson. He is not making these great decisions and putting a touch ball like over the linebackers on a crossing route. Like play to your strengths. Coaching is bad. Players in theory are better than they've ever been. I mean, in terms of
100%, 100%.
But really, like we talk about it really with the NBA Entertainment League. But if you're not winning games, like somebody has to take the fall for something. And obviously, it's not going to be the owners because they're the ones cashing the checks. But those are all
writing the checks.
Yeah, and writing the checks. So I mean, Chicago, Carolina, Indianapolis, Cleveland. Just complete ownership malpractice, coaching malpractice. Like where does it stop? Dallas, where does it stop? I don't know. It's the Chicago Bears, man. I'm tweaking right now. I can't like you're not you're not Cleveland. Detroit is like Detroit even made it fucking happen. Detroit has went 0-16. Cleveland has went 0-16 in our lifetimes. And the Bears have never had a 4,000-yard passer in the history of the NFL. They were the first ones. They were the NFL. The first ones to start literally the NFL, and they can't figure out the quarterback. Like, when are you gonna? When does it end? Like, genuinely, there is nothing. We are the same team every year. Inconsistent run game, a couple good players here and there. The defense looks good, like good linebacker play. Like, it is Groundhog Day again. Like, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. And you can't say anything about Caleb Williams. Again, he's a rookie, but oh, and then you realize that's the exact same thing you said about Justin Fields. Well, the coaching is bad. It's a new coaching staff. It's a young offense. He'll be better in year 2. No, year 2, we need to see flashes and we'll lose a couple games. We'll get a better draft pick. Year 3, we really need to see it. Oh, no, we're not seeing it in year 3. What now? New quarterback again and again and again. It's the Chiefs and the Celtics and LeBron and not the Bears having a 4,000-yard passer. And I can't take it anymore. Football is the worst. The NFL sucks. I'm lucky that I've only known the Bears like this for my track record in big Buckeye games. Like, when there's expectations, like I don't handle them well. Maybe I'm not built to be a winner.
You know.
But with how horrible the Chicago Bears have been able to manage a football team in my lifetime, like I've truly known nothing but pain. Like, talk about wrong side here. We have the best quarterback of all time. Not fuck it. Caleb Williams is already the best Bears quarterback of all time. That's the easiest take ever. And it's still fucking awful. At this point, you can actually believe that you can still genuinely say that you figured out the quarterback way more than you could have about Justin Fields. And I was the biggest Justin Fields guy on the planet. And we just can't do it, man. Like, there's no reason for me to pay attention to the Bears anymore. They have shown that everything is exactly the same. Ugh.
I'm sorry. I know I'm laughing, but it's just,
I mean, it's hilarious.
Right. You're right. It is super sad. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It's the coaching. And the worst part about it, I think, when you have those kind of teams, the owners are very involved. Very involved. Obviously, not every owner is Jerry Jones. They're not.
Thank
but
God.
The problem is with someone like Jerry Jones is, to me, I think Mike McCarthy is getting fired. And I think it's a scheme issue. And Schottenheimer's not good, etc. There's a lot of issues in the Cowboys. But there's no way in hell. Like, my dream scenario is that somehow, I think this is a lot of team scenarios, especially Chicago. But my dream scenario is that Ben Johnson is coaching the Dallas Cowboys next year. Like, I'm going to assume that's the Bears. That's the Bears' dream scenario. Mm-hmm. The problem is with the Cowboys or the Bears and teams like that, big markets, crazy ass old owners, is they don't trust those guys. That's the problem. That's the biggest issue, I think. Mm-hmm. If the Cowboys were going to hire Ben Johnson, there is 0% of my brain and my body that believes Jerry Jones would let Ben Johnson run the show. 0. Like, I'm telling you, there's 0% he would let him run the show. It's going to be my way. You're still going to have my players. I'm not going to give you what you need. It's still going to be my way or the highway. Ben Johnson would not be able to run this elite, crazy-ass offense with the Dallas Cowboys or even the Bears, because McCaskey's, Jones, it doesn't matter. Those type of owners suck. And I think you're right. It comes down to that. Bad ownership, bad development. I think... Obviously, I'm not selling Caleb stock. I'm still a huge Caleb fan. Mm-hmm. But we said it 3 years ago. But there has to be some sort of issue. I think we're stuck with some teams believing the old style works.
It clearly doesn't. I don't know how you could believe that.
Here's what I'm saying. They see Andy Reid and believe Andy Reid is old and Andy Reid's style works. But Andy Reid has adapted that style. He doesn't have Donovan McNabb anymore. He doesn't have Carson Wentz anymore. He's adapted that style. He doesn't have Alex Smith. He's adapted that style for Patrick Mahomes. Versus Mike McCarthy, who had Aaron Rodgers, and that's why it's soured with Aaron Rodgers, because he didn't adapt. And that's why it's souring now with Dak. And you look at Chicago, it's the same thing. No adaptation. The game is always changing. Always changing. In any sport. Basketball is different because there's still only one goal. You're going to shoot the hoop. You're going to get the ball in the house. You're going to pass, set screens, etc. Different. The game evolved when Steph entered the league and people decided threes are more important than twos. That's when the league changed the NBA. But still, similar game. Baseball, analytics, lefties, third time through the lineups. Game change. If you are not willing to change, you will fail. Moneyball says it best, and I'll end it on this. Adapt or die. If we don't adapt, we're going to keep dying. If you don't adapt, you will never change the cycle of insanity.
You're right, man. Adapt or die. These loser organizations refuse to adapt. And have you ever heard of this little winning organization named the New England Patriots? They may have recently won 6 or 7 Super Bowls in the last 10 years.
I'm familiar.
Yes, they are even sitting their first-round quarterback and letting Jacoby Brissett get murdered this year so the quarterback can develop and they don't destroy him early. And he's looking very promising so far. So losers are going to lose. Winners are going to win. Now to clutch moment of the week.
Our clutch moment of the week is brought to you by Shore Metals, serving Southern California since 1970. Big enough to serve you and small enough to know you. See Stan, he'll help you out. Joey, who's your clutch moment of the week?
Mine has to go out to Donovan Jackson, offensive lineman for the Buckeyes. In a week where there was a ton of media attention, the line didn't look great against Nebraska. They threw out a new combination, and when asked how the Ohio State offensive line was able to impose their will the way they did and run out the final 440 against Penn State, Donovan Jackson, with the clutch quote of the week, said, "We just had to drop our nuts." So my clutch moment of the week goes out to Donovan Jackson. How about you?
Love that. Donovan Jackson, big NFL game for him. Rumor all week was he didn't want to switch sides because of his NFL stock. Didn't matter. He stepped up, did a fantastic job. He got beat once or twice on one-on-one against Abdul Carter. Didn't matter. Showed up when it mattered most. Protected our QB. Helped our team out. Led that O-line. Shout out Donovan Jackson. Underlying hero of the O-line. My clutch moment of the week. We've done it. You did it. We did it. The entire world did it. Monday Night Football is over, which means the next big sporting event is Thursday Night Football. That's not the clutch moment because Thursday Night Football sucks.
Always.
But the clutch moment of the week goes out to all of sport fans. Thursday, political ads will be over. No more commercials. She is not for they, them. He is for us. All those commercials, they're over. End of political ads for the country. We're done. We made it through political ad seasons. Thank God. I'm tired. Get me Matthew McConaughey and Uber Eats. Jerry's eating rice. Get me Peyton's Peyton. Get me Fumble Rooski, Bundle Rooski. Give me all those back. I'm done with the political ads. We did it. Clutch moment of the week. No more political ads.
Low key, it probably won't be decided by the time this comes out, but because voter count is a joke in this country. But by the time this comes out on Wednesday, it might really be wrong side Wednesday because the election may be over. So we'll see how this ages by then. But clutch moment of the week. We've made it. I hope the world is not over by the time this episode comes out. Donovan Jackson, Buckeyes look good. Clutch moment of the week. Now to Outside the Line. Wrapping it up with Outside the Line. Starting out with our tone deaf person of the week. Michael, wrap it up. Who you got?
Easy answer could have been people in the election cycle since the election is tomorrow. But my tone deaf person, feel like it happens very often nowadays. Injuries after big games, wins or losses, injuries are always coming out. In my opinion, if you're on that field, if you're on the court, you're healthy. You're good enough to play. You should be ready to play. You're there. Freddie Freeman sat out a couple games in the NLCS because his ankle hurt, wasn't good enough to play. That's the situation. Injuries coming out for big games, one of my biggest pet peeves. Oh, he had this injury. This is why he was hurt. Oh, she had this injury in the game. That's why she didn't play well. I hate that shit. I hate it. And to me, it's soft. It's weak. It's very tone deaf. Like, it's like, oh, my hand was broken. That's why I played well. Like, no, like, Sabrina, like, you shot 19 times. Your hand can't be that broken. Like, get to the line a little more, Or Freddie Freeman somehow has a rib injury. Or Yankees now are getting postseason surgery. Or bad, or you know what? Just overall bad medical malpractice by sports teams. I feel like the Cowboys and the Angels are two of the worst in all of sports that like, oh, they're going to be out 3 weeks and they're out 7, or they're going to be out 1 month, they're out 4. Like bad injury management, bad medical staffs, and injuries after big games after you lose. Hate that. Hate it.
Yeah, I think You're fairly right with the if you're on the field, you're on the court, you're healthy enough to play. But like you said, if you know you don't have your three ball, Sabrina, get to the line a little more. Like find ways to impact the game. That's why you're a professional athlete. You're supposed to be the master of your craft. So
1000%.
just chalking that up as an excuse. Everyone, like NFL especially, like these contact sports are pretty brutal. So everyone's playing through injuries here and there. So don't use it as an excuse. The league is soft, and by the league I mean the world. So I agree with you there.
Yes. 100%. What about you? Tone deaf person of the week.
Tone deaf person of the week. We talk about social media a lot. Not everyone deserves an opinion. It's pretty brutal. And athletes' families are a big crux of that. So more recently this week, Michael Thomas and his family going crazy against Derek Carr. There was the Odell dad posting the Baker missing Odell when he was with the Browns. That compilation video. Micah's brother tweets on his behalf about the Cowboys a lot, and that part just sucks because it's as awkward as if the family member themselves was doing it. So it's just pretty weird. It always causes controversy. It's never once ended well. So tone deaf are the people that take Twitter into their own hands and get probably their brothers or sons or make their next day at work pretty awkward.
And it's just so uncomfortable because it's like, what are is the family member that's in the league and be like, yep, they're right, like we're bad, or are they going to be like, no, I don't really stand with my brother, and divide a line with your family? Like,
right.
the player is in a lose-lose situation, other than like Michael Thomas, who was doing it from his own account this week. Like,
Stand on it.
disaster. I hate that stuff. It's so bad. It makes everybody look, because then they're getting into it with people. Like, I saw Terrence Parsons, who's Micah's brother, getting into someone on Twitter. It was like 420 weed lover 100 was the username. Like, that's who you're getting into it with. This is who you're getting baited by. Like, it's all trolls. Like, we're in a world of trolls. Like, just so tone deaf, so unacceptable in my opinion. Wrapping up though, wrong side, right side. What do you got?
My right side, Young Thug, Slime, he's free. Very funny court videos and documents of the prosecution.
Music.
Yeah, listening to his music, vibing with his lawyer who just looked like a dog. What did he say? That just they were making up acronyms. I think Thug was supposed to be an acronym, something H under God.
Yes.
So just
let all the naysayers know.
Let all the naysayers know. So clutch moment of the week also goes out to that lawyer, and Young Thug is free. So that was my right side. Alternatively, my wrong side, gotta go back at the Cowboys a little bit. It's never easy to wear the star on the side of your helmet. Even while Dak Prescott was injured and finishing out the game, he was caught pretty very clearly on the sideline saying, man, we fucking suck. And that's pretty true, but they don't suck as much as the Bears. So wrong side, again, just our teams, and going to be more controversy for Dallas moving forward. What do you got?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think he's right. And everyone's at blame this year, but we do fucking suck. So I don't think it's wrong. I think it's wrong side because he got caught on camera, but I think it's right side because he's accurate. He's telling the truth. Mm-hmm. For me, right side, big weekend coming up. Bachelor party with David Joseph for his wedding coming up in June. Very excited going to Nashville for that. I'm super stoked. I've never been to a bachelor party. I've never been in charge of a bachelor party. I had to do both this time. So very excited. Going to be a fun time. Got some barbecue food. I had a caterer out. I got about 12 pounds of meat plus 2 full chickens, like sides, everything Friday night before we go out. Going to have that. Going to the sports book on Sunday, going to a backer bar on Saturday. Going to be a great time. I've never been to Nashville, so I'm very excited. Get Friday off from work to fly, so a day off from work. Also right side, love that. Going to be a fun time. Super excited for Dave. Got some funny-ass party favors for him that he'll like. Super excited for that. Wrong side, though, softball's on Wednesday. Going to be the last game of the season. Might be the last game for a couple months. Arguably could be last game I play at home, potentially, if I move. Very tough. Been tough to get the guys together. A lot of people in school, working, etc. Just been tough season. We're not going to end up on top. We won the championship last season. Not going to probably win it this year. But just a bummer. I love playing. I still love playing. But not playing this next season. I didn't sign us up, and I'll be out in the spring because of busy season. I'm always out that season. So might be the last one for a while. Maybe I can get one more season in if I'm moving. But definitely a bummer for me. I do love going out there on Wednesdays and playing with the guys, so I'm bummed that it's over.
Scheduled weeknight activities are lit. We have our lacrosse playoff game tomorrow night. So
let's go.
Probably everyone makes the playoffs, first of all, so that'll probably
That's all right. That's all right.
our last game there for a little bit, but it was a fun season nonetheless. So maybe we'll find something else to do. You'll find something else to do, but
Yeah.
yeah. hmm
Agreed. Well, that's another great episode. Thank you guys for listening. Busy couple weeks coming up. A lot of good stories. Bachelor party. Look forward. We're obviously going to have an episode next week, like always, but in 2 weeks, get excited. First time Joey and I will be together in, I want to say over a year and a half, I think, at that point. So it's going to be a while, maybe a little longer.
Probably.
A little
I can't
longer.
even think of it.
So
Yeah.
might be but will be the first wrong side episode together for at least part of
Yeah.
the episode. Maybe not all of the episode, but will be the first time together. Look forward to that in 2 weeks. Hopefully we can get an interview or something out as well. But very much looking forward to that.
Stay blessed.